Morning, good morning, good morning. We're going to give it a couple minutes for people who want to jump in. And we will jump in to this instance of Catered Caffeine. Very excited to be here this morning. I think we have some really good information to go over. And really just slowing down and taking a moment to understand your brand and understand how people are viewing your brand, which is very important, something I think we lose sight of sometimes. So for those of you wondering, this is my first cup of coffee. We're going to enjoy it together. A little bit of caramel in there, 2% milk. I have a frother because I like to think I'm fancy sometimes. So we're going to get energized together, one sip at a time. All right, well, welcome to this instance of Catered Caffeine. For me, this is a space where we really get to come together and share success and things that we're seeing in the industry and hopefully find some ways to grow ourselves in a way that is organic and that can be repeated. As we all know, year over year sales is very important. And as I look at my prior year orders, because we do track that information, I'm finding in some periods that up to 33% of our business that we had last year isn't coming back through no fault of our own. Unfortunately, people aren't going to get or are going to get married 2 years in a row. People aren't going to have a bar mitzvah 2 years in a row. Thankfully, people don't pass away 2 years in a row. What a weird world that would be. So there are lots of little reasons why we're not going to see all that business back, and just knowing that and understanding that goes a long way. So we're here to help each other grow. So what is Catered Caffeine? It is a space where once a month we're going to come together, we're going to get excited, we're going to have our first cup of coffee, those of us who are on the West Coast and we're still waking up a little bit. And really, for me, I love what I've seen come together over the past couple sessions where we're developing a sales playbook and we're putting together the resources to find success in this space. Unfortunately, as the pandemic happened and people cut back on their staff, things roared back to life, and now we have 2 people, 3 people doing the work that 4 or 5 people used to do, or 6 people used to do. How do you streamline what you're doing and give those people the resources, give yourself the resources if you're a director or sales manager to really find the success you're looking for? Because as we know, if you want 10% growth year over year, but you have that attrition rate, you're really asking people to grow 30%, and that could be a lot depending on the size of your team. So we're going to throw gasoline on the fire. We're going to put caffeine in our systems. We're going to come together and we're going to figure that out. I always like to do a little who am I, just because how I approach things, the tips, the tactics, the tools that I use may not fully fit, or you may need to look at your situation and to alter it a little bit. So high level, my name's Jerome Dees. I've been doing this for almost 20 years now. I worked with bagel brands for 8 years, Noah's Bagels on the West Coast, Einstein Brothers on the East Coast, where I oversaw 55 locations, up to 100 direct reports. I feel like I was the oldest 23-year-old in the world. I learned so much about catering and sales and how we treat people, and the internal customer being just as important as the external customer. Before that, I had my own catering company in the Silicon Valley, had no clue what I was doing, took $200 and got a business license, had no money for equipment. The first deposit we got, I bought my camping stoves that I made my omelets on. And once again, just a lot of dig in, figure it out. No one's going to help you. How do you make people give you money? And I take a lot of that entrepreneurial experience and bring it into my business life on a daily basis. After Bagel Brands for 8 years, I worked for a couple other companies for 5 years apiece, where I was a VP of sales, overseeing catering, wholesale events. We worked with the 49ers, Sacramento Kings, San Jose Sharks. I've catered a Super Bowl. I've catered food for the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. If you name it, if it's a major thing, I've probably had my hands in it. Most recently, I'm working with Talkalicious as their VP of sales, overseeing catering, events, anything outside of the restaurant, as well as their Talkalicious School project, where we give money to local schools. I could boast I've sold well over 4 million bagels. Still not sure if that's a flex or not. I'm approaching millions of tacos. And I really just find a joy and a passion in a space where we get to help people. We're feeding people and we're helping people. Sometimes it's just food in an office. Sometimes we're supporting people at their lowest times as family members have passed away. and to be able to support others and get paid and have some food at my disposal. Not too shabby. One of the things we've been doing as we go is building out our sales playbook. I'll leave this on the screen for a moment. If you point your phone at it, it should pop up. I'm also going to show you what this is in a moment, and then I will take that link and I will plug it into the chat for you so that you have access to it. Our sales playbook is really just the collection of resources and tools that we want at our disposal, we want at the disposal of our team. All too often do I support brands or individuals who are frustrated that they're not seeing consistent success, but they're not doing things consistently. So our sales playbook allows us to do that. What I've done is created a very simple template that anybody can use. You can come in and make a copy of this. You can also, if you're a ChatGPT user, if it's your best friend, like it is for a lot of people, it seems at this point, you can go in and tell it that you're creating a sales playbook, let it know who your brand is, ask them to look your brand up online because they can do that now. Give it details, criteria. I need daily checklists. I need the types of sales contacts I should make. And it will populate all this based off of your brand. Things that we've covered, and we'll go over this again in a moment, but there is that daily checklist area. My team has a whole list of things that we do on a daily basis. There are things that are done just on Thursday. That's when we plug in all the third-party information for the following week. That's when we're making our pick list for large events. We're creating menus for those large events. We have nice descriptions on the table that look good. On Mondays, we have certain things we do because we process credit cards from the weekend and we look forward. And there are all these different points that sometimes seem like it's just work, but it really puts us in that space where we're not going to overlook things. We're not going to have a delivery that we didn't schedule because we do the work and then we double check the work. So we always have those systems of checks and balances. Under sales activities, there's a list of different contact types and customer profiles, things that you should be doing on a weekly basis, who you should be reaching out to. We went over that in a previous session. We have an area for systems. If you have passwords or if you have systems you log into, we live in a world where I have so many third parties we're managing, from Forkable to Easy Cater to Relish to Catered Caffeine. The list goes on. And having all that information in one place, having all the discounts we offer, how those discounts are managed. If I fall off the face of the earth, I want my team to be able to get in here and to see what they need to do and to keep going. Last session, we talked about competition and really looking at those that you're competing with, ordering from them if possible, if your budget allows it, and then having notes about your competition so that if someone says, oh, I appreciate what you're offering, but at Noah's Bagels, they do X, Y, Z. If you've ordered from Noah's Bagels, you can go back and say, well, I hear what you're saying. And yes, their delivery fee might be cheaper, but if you look at our box lunch price, we're actually $1 cheaper. So after 15 meals, since you're ordering 30, you actually come out ahead. It seems simple, but we were able to say that a couple of jobs ago because we did all the research. We would bring our competitors in for our monthly lunches. We'd analyze as much as we could about them, and then we could speak intelligently without putting them down. The way I said that wasn't, they're not good, they're not a great brand. I love Noah's Bagels. I was there for 8 years. However, we can do better for you, and here's why. When you're able to give your team that resource, it's a powerful thing. And then today, next to the new, we do have the secret shop that we'll cover, but I'm going to jump back over here because I don't want to spoil that for you. As I shared, I'll grab this link for you. We'll come over here. It's already in the chat. Thank you so much, Terry. You're always so helpful. So a quick recap, and I did some of this just by going through the playbook, so apologies for redundancy. We did go over the types of contacts that you should be making. You need to be consistent with your sales efforts. There's prior orders where you're reaching out to people who ordered last year to try to get them back. Knowing who isn't coming back can give you your attrition rate. Now you know how much more you need to sell to hit your goal because 10% isn't always 10%. We started developing this playbook, which we started from scratch. So it's kind of cool to look back down and see the different areas in there. And we're going to keep building that thing until it's well-rounded. In addition to that, we went over ideal customer profiles. Sometimes who we're targeting may not be the people we should be targeting. Take the information in your CRM or in your ordering system, review it, analyze it, figure out who your heavy hitters are, figure out what those industries are you should be spending your time in, and then spend more time there. It seems super simple, but every time I come into a new role, there's an understanding of who their best customer is, and it typically doesn't align with what the data says. Make sure we're doing activities and making decisions that are data driven. We talked about using strategic partnerships. I am partnered with Bear Bottle Brewery here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We will get an email from someone saying, Bear Bottle told us to reach out to you. I need food for 100 people next week. Here's what I'd like. We put together a contract. They sign it. We send it back. Because these are individuals who already rented the space, and because we're on a short list of vendors, it's a very qualified lead, and it's very rare those don't go our way. I absolutely love partnerships. I want more partnerships. And every once a month, I talk about this and I get fired up about partnerships again. So guess what I'll be doing for the rest of the day? Looking for partnerships. In addition to that, we talked about having that dedicated time to selling. You have to block time on your calendars. Make sure you know the opportunity cost of not having time blocked. If someone wants to pull you into a meeting, hey, I'm doing my first time order contacts during that time. We typically see a couple $1,000s in revenue from that. If this makes more sense than that, I can put that off, but just know like that activity is not getting done. There's a nice way to say, hey, I can't do that meeting without just being like, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to respect the leaders and the organizations we're in, but you also need to protect your selling time whenever possible. And if you make it clear that you have time for selling and you block it on your calendar, I hope the people around you will respect that. We talked about the competitive research. We just went over that as I showed you in the sales playbook. Make sure you're looking at your competitors, how their website works, what their flows are, what they're offering, how you compare. You won't always be the cheapest, but sometimes looking at a package someone else is offering and a package you're offering, it's not apples to apples. Maybe you offered guacamole and they don't. You can share that information with customers if you're aware of it. So make sure you're taking the time to do that competitive research. Just a quick note, make sure you're attending your events. Make sure you're going out on some of your deliveries. This is the mayor of San Francisco. We had a graduation party a couple nights ago. I didn't know he was going to be there. Wanted to meet him for a long time. It's really cool to have FaceTime with the mayor of the city that you're doing a lot of your events in, and to take a picture and have some content for online. Make sure you're attending your events. Please get out there. One of the things from this event particularly, you can't see our table behind us completely, sadly. But as my teams were setting up, we had a few different stations, and this does go directly to the content today. I had them come around the table and just look at the table. Are you happy with this setup? If you were paying for this, would you be okay with how this looks? And for the most part, setup looked great. Plants were great, all the signs were in place. But then you start looking deeper, and there's a bench behind the table where we have jackets, and we have cups, and we have plates from little snacks we were having. And then you could kind of see some of the bags on the side. We have these cool little risers that we put our salsas on, but underneath we put gloves and napkins and others, and they're clearly visible. So just taking the time to look at what was going on and to view it the way a customer would. They saw all these little things they were able to fix. And part of our topic today, part of why I'm bringing us together, is I want you to secret shop your brand. And coming on the other side of the table and just looking at what's going on, not just getting through the work, not just setting up another event, but truly trying to get a sense of how the customers are perceiving it, how they're feeling about it, what's working, what's not working. You have to look at these things. You can be the best salesperson in the world, but if there's something fundamentally wrong with what you're doing or how you're approaching things, you may run into trouble. I'm going to take a second to see if we have any questions, because I often blow through all this. All right, and if you can hear my dog in the background, it is summer break for us, so a kid may make a cameo. We don't know. We never know what's going to happen in this house. When was the last time you actually placed an order through your website? You have to. Some websites or some online ordering systems will allow you to create a coupon where you can provide $0 orders if you have the ability to do that, or if you can set your profile on the back end to have free orders. I strongly recommend on a quarterly basis, you're going through and you're placing an order. Sometimes what we think we're communicating isn't what we're actually communicating. Go through the steps. Are we asking for the right information in terms of deliveries, how we're setting up, what the event type is? It is one approach to call someone for a celebratory graduation. It is another approach to call someone who just lost a loved one. I don't want to come in hot and excited and over the top if someone's struggling in life right now. Are we able to capture that information? As you're plugging in menu items and making your selections, is it clear what we're asking to do? I own our website here at Talkalicious. I still find things that are misconfigured. A, because sometimes things just go wrong, but B, as we learn more and more about our systems, the way we had something set up last year, which made all the sense in the world, may be different from how we have it set up this year. One of those examples, we sell a nacho bar, and we didn't want people to be able to order nachos for just 2 people. It's a ton of packaging, we lose money on it. So what we've gone to is we have a nacho bar that serves 10 by default, and then you can add additional people on there. When I first set it up, it made all the sense in the world the way it was set up until someone ordered nachos for 3 people, and we realized that didn't work too well. But going through the motion of placing an order online, go through every single item, customize things, play around with things, try to break it. Try to break your website and see if you can be successful. See if something says that there's a minimum of 10, can you order with just 8? Are there ways to adjust it on the back end if that's the case? Place an order through your website. If you have the ability to, some companies, some groups have dollars to allow this, let that order flow through to your kitchen. Let them prepare the order, see what comes out, how's it packaged, does it look right, were dietary restrictions followed? Because I can tell you here in the Bay Area, I have one in my inbox right now where someone's allergic to mangoes. I had a list from someone the other day where they were allergic to everything under the sun, and we have to be aware of that. We have to make sure our kitchens are aware of that and honoring that. So place an order through your website, see what comes through the other side. Does it make sense? And if not, if you have the ability to adjust it or work with your software provider to do so. A quick question, when analyzing a competitor's catering program, is it more effective to order lunch for the entire team or to replicate a typical catering order like one meant for client? A couple jobs ago, we would actually, for our monthly meetings, we would bring in one of our competitors, and I killed 2 birds with 1 stone. We were going to order food anyway, but I was able to order it for a large enough group. I think we were 40 people because we let some of the people from the production facility come in. It was a large enough order to I felt like we could get a few different things and really get a sense of what they would order. I'm okay ordering smaller orders if you're just testing websites or trying to understand their flow. Are they going to follow up with me afterwards and thank me for my business? But if you're really looking to compare apples to apples, I would figure out what your average order size is and try to order something similar from competitors. And then you can tie it back into, our packages are the same price, but even hell, I'm going to put our food on the table right next to their food and we can look at it apples to apples. So if you can make those orders representative of what your average order size is, I think that will serve you well. The next thing is I want you to go through your ordering process from start to finish. When was the last time you did that? When was the last time you went and you placed an order, be it online or emailed your team or filled out your form and then got your confirmation and then understood what happened after that? Sometimes when food is delivered, it's set up and it's beautiful and there's labels. Sometimes food just shows up and it's like, where's Waldo? Let me figure this out myself. So in terms of going through that whole delivery process, sometimes I'll just show up at deliveries and don't let the driver know that I'm coming because I truly want to see what's going to happen. And they were able to make little notes. So many people are asking for these little placards now where they can put it down and see dietary information because teams are so conscious. So one of the things we offer is if you need a menu, we'll just create a menu for you like you're full service. You can print that out. Now I have my logo at the start of the table, which I love because sometimes the packaging doesn't do it for you. Make sure you're going through that delivery process. If you can order online, if you can allow that order to be delivered, be it to your home or to your office, let it play out. See what happens, see what shows up, take photos, and then go back to your team. Here's what I saw, here's what's working, here's what's not working. With this, I love doing this. I'm a little further out from my stores now, unfortunately, so I don't have the ability to do the secret shops. But when I was in San Jose, we would order food all the time and just have it delivered to our home to see what showed up. You can also, for friends, for family, for investors, have a VIP club where you're asking them to order food once a quarter, and you'll comp it out and just give them a simple form and ask them a bunch of different questions. And I have those questions for you over here on our sales playbook under checklist. I do have a secret shopper checklist of things that if you're doing it, if a family member's doing it, if someone else in the company, VIP doesn't matter, you can ask them about that website experience if you allow them to order through the website. You can ask them about the ordering process overall. What did they like? What could have been better? You can understand how their interactions with your team were. One of the frustrating points, and this is a story, we had someone ordering from a different country. They came in once a year with a group of students, and they would explore the area, look at colleges. It was really cool. We did it one year and it went really well. And then the next year they had a bigger area where they needed deliveries outside of our service area. I had the genius idea to go to one of our competitors, just order through their website and to let them deliver it. The customer had one giant invoice because I just made it work for them, but we were able to cover all the deliveries. The orders overall were about $20,000 worth of food, and I'd say maybe 4 or 5,000 of that I gave to a competitor. I placed upwards of 12 orders with this competitor all on the same day, a fair amount of money for what it was. I never got a call back from them. When I was practicing this, I was using the name of the group. I'm not going to do that. I never got a call from them. We never got a thank you. Nobody called to say, oh my gosh, what the heck was going on? Is this something that happens occasionally? Can we do it quarterly? That information was in their system. It had to have showed up on a report somewhere that I was a heavy hitter, or at least I appeared to be a heavy hitter. We have to make sure that those interactions are happening. So part of your checklist can be, hey, did anybody reach out to you? How were your interactions when you placed the order? How's the interaction with the delivery driver? We want to know how the customer is perceiving our brand and our team from start to finish. Your packaging, your presentation. We had an order that we secret shopped a little while back, and I picked up the tongs, and they were the worst tongs I've ever picked up in my 20-year history of doing catering events. And I think someone thought they were being helpful, and they saw something that was a little cheaper, and it was atrocious. So we very quickly were able to say, hey, we're never using this again. Pull it off of our order guide. Here's the standard for what we want, and things got a lot better. I can only imagine how many customers went to pick things up with those terrible tongs and got frustrated, and maybe it wasn't the main thought. Excuse me. Maybe it wasn't like the driving, here's why we're not going to order again, but something in their head when next time they went to order lunch, maybe they're like, oh, those tongs. So we want to make sure every step of what we do is clean, concise. And then the product quality. How were things? We deal with hot foods. So we're sending tortillas out hot. We're sending everything else out hot. Did we use our warmer bags? Did it arrive at the temperature we wanted it to? How was the taste? Because sometimes when you sit in a restaurant and you have 3 tacos, it's much different than if you send taco fixings for 300. We want to make sure there's no loss between those two. And last but not least, value. Did you feel like you got the value for what it was? I have been lucky. Well, I wouldn't say lucky. I have ended up working for brands that typically charge a little bit more than everybody else. If you've listened to previous sessions, you know that we're charging $8 for a taco, which sounds insane. So we want to make sure people felt like, was the value there? All the toppings are provided, the quality, the freshness, this delivery service. Did we do enough in that added value to make you feel like you got your value? And then some ratings and a quick thank you, asking them for photos. I hope you will just steal that completely. Make sure as you're doing the secret shops, you're understanding your delivery process, you really know what the customer's seeing, what they're getting, and understand what you can do better. All right, let's see. When analyzing a competitor's catering program, is it more effective to order lunch for the team? All right, I think let's do this one instead. There we go. After you've dropped in on a catering delivery, what's the best way to communicate your feedback to the team? Love that question. How do you balance being constructive without One of the things that I pride myself on is that my internal customers are more important than my external customers. Yes, people that are ordering are keeping the lights on and paying the bills, and I respect that. I cherish that. But without my delivery team, without my sales manager, my director, my team at the restaurant, I have nothing. I share that only because we probably for every, and I have a report, I should have pulled this up, for every one negative or code red, if you use Monkey Media, you'll understand code red, code green. For every one code red we get, which is a negative guest experience, there's probably 7 or 8 code greens. So we constantly send the code greens as soon as someone says it, more than, hey, it was great. If they mention someone's name, hey, the experience was amazing. Hey, everybody loved everything. I'm getting rave reviews. Right away, we send that to the store so they can print it for the team. And in the schedule email that we send out each week, this last one we probably had 14 great guest experiences that we called out. So we're constantly praising, thanking, making sure that what the customer is sharing is getting to the team. So when it comes time to say, hey, we do great work, but here are a couple things that I saw, my team's usually pretty receptive to it. Also, my team gets 90% of all the tips that go out, and they're paid, I think, pretty well, 20 or 25 bucks per hour to start. So on a good shift, my team can walk away with $350 for 4 hours of work. And if I come in and say, hey, I'm noticing you're doing this, but if you do this, I typically see customers will keep ordering. That's more orders for you. If you tie it into the benefit for the team, typically they're receptive. But we try to praise our team probably more than we should at times. So they're very receptive, thankfully, when things go a little off, and we have to communicate that as well. All right, now that we talked a little bit about just placing the order, seeing that order delivered, experiencing that, do you know your flow if someone requests information, or if they fill out a form online, or if they do a lead generation form? One of the things that I found when I started here at Talkalicious is they had 4 different forms for 5 different things. One of those forms went to a spreadsheet that nobody really knew it was there. The other form was broken. It was allowing full service events out of our restaurant. We didn't. So one of the first things we did is we took that form and we slimmed it down. We made it make sense. We made sure we were asking for the right information. And then we tested that form a couple times. Thankfully, now that form flows right into the software that we use. We don't have forms that are just us now having to copy and paste things over, which we were doing a lot. So now we click, it creates a profile, we select a date, we click save, and it went from what used to be about 20 minutes worth of fact finding, information gathering, copy and pasting to this very clean process. So I'm encouraging you, and if you're a team of 1, this is a little hard to do, but if you're at a larger organization, submit a request for information. How long does it take for the team to get back? If you're using canned replies, or if you're using templates that you can get out quicker, does the information in that template make sense? If you're sharing a link to your menu, make sure that link is accurate and up to date. We found, true story, through OpenTable just last week, we had a link for a catering menu that we haven't used in a year and a half. And because we have catering menus in 20 different places, someone went to place an order and they found a menu where our pricing was probably 25% cheaper. And were they a little frustrated that we sent them a new menu of more aggressive pricing? A little bit. So one of the things you can do in your sales playbook, create a tab, make a list of all the places that your catering menu is housed. If you have partners that you send that menu to, like Bear Bottle, who help promote us, have a giant list of all that stuff. And anytime there's a menu change or an update, it's tedious, but go through that list and you won't have OpenTable surprises like we did. So make sure you know where that lead generation form is going. Make sure that the template then you send back is accurate, is up to date. Maybe you did a price increase where your room fee is 6% instead of 5%. Make sure all that is up to date. And then respond to that form with a couple questions. What do you get? Like, go through the whole interaction. Sometimes what we think we're saying isn't necessarily what we're communicating to customers. We had confirmations for the longest time where we weren't telling customers when we were actually going to arrive. They would select a delivery time, and our drivers knew to arrive 15 minutes before to begin setup, but customers didn't know that. So customers were saying 11:30, thinking we would get there at 11:30, we would set up by 11:45, they've had food at noon. And we're like, okay, we're going to do our best to get there early. So we're going to show up at 11:15. And now we set up and food sitting there for 30 minutes. We know the safety's still there. We know the way it's packaged, it's still hot. But perception being reality, a customer might feel like they're not getting what they need from that. So now in our confirmations, we have a note. If you're a delivery customer, we'll arrive 15 minutes before. If you're full service, we'll get there 90 minutes before. Information we were having to send multiple emails for in the past, and now it's just part of the process. So I'll say it one more time. Make sure you're going through whatever forms or process you have from start to finish. Make sure everything's up to date, easy to read, and giving the customer what they need from you. Okay, we'll get to those questions in a moment. One of the things that we just did last week, 2 weeks ago, is we went through our system. We use Triple Seat for events, and we looked at every contract, every invoice, every BEO, and realized that some of what was in there just didn't make sense. When I started here, if you use Triple Seat, this will make sense. When you build out a contract, you go through and you basically just check boxes of pre-created menu items. And super simple, but you had to click beans and you had to click rice. But with a certain package, it always comes with beans and rice. So I just put those two items together. It's just one less click, but in a world where all we do is click and move data around sometimes, it felt like a good thing. The descriptions that we had for our taco bars were just kind of written out in a paragraph, which was okay. But if we entered each one onto its own line, well, now we've created a true checklist for our team. So as our team is looking over their orders, they can use that BEO, the same one the customer has, and they can check stuff off as they go. We used to forget tortillas all the time when I started for taco bars. Tortillas. So we updated our checklist and we gave our internal team the tools. Because once again, we want this to look good for our customers. And I'm talking mostly about our external customers, but our internal team is just as important. All hell breaks loose at restaurants sometimes. Our team's going to come in and things are going to be running behind, and we're going to be in a position where we think that the team's going to come in and it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows and they'll have plenty of time to grab things. But we want to make sure that we're giving them every resource to double check. Through Cinco de Mayo, I can tell you that checklist was huge. Another thing that I found on the contracts and the invoices, when we build a new contract, we were adding in a timeline manually every single time. This is what time the kitchen will be ready. This is time we'll leave the store. Here's when we'll arrive. And we realized that we could just build that into the template for contracts. When we generate a contract now, all that information is just in there. So just look at your process, what you're doing. We have a thank you canned response that goes out after someone's order is completed. How did things go? Is there another opportunity to help you? If you know someone else, we're happy to give you a gift card. We try to keep it short so people actually read it. We revamped that recently, so it was a little clearer to understand. Just take the time to look at everything you're doing with new eyes, to step on the other side of the table and to really understand what's going on and what's going out. And then the after order care. I shared with, I almost said their name again, what the group will use to offset the deliveries we couldn't do. We never got a call. We never got an email. They never checked in to see how things went. I know that I was a one-time customer. Maybe it happened again next year. I don't know. But I know that, but they don't know that. To make sure that as we're looking at the life cycle of our orders, from the time it's placed, be it website, be it a lead form, be it an email that comes in, through the delivery or the setup at the event, through us closing out the event if you have an internal system for doing debrief, through reaching out to the customer, is you're going to want this customer again next year. And if you're going to do that prior year order contact, you don't want the first time you've ever reached out to them is asking them for another order when we didn't take the time to thank them, to see how things went. In terms of my flow, not only do we thank the customer now and maybe even make a call depending on how big the order is, but I'll also reach out again next month. Just want to check in again. If the order was large enough, kick them a gift card. Hey, I want you to come in and visit us, offer them lunch. Like, can I drop off some cookies to your office to say thank you again? Make sure you have enough positive touch points that when you get to that point where you need to ask for this business again, there's a relationship, and you're not just a stranger. You're not just the guy saying, hey, spend money with me again. And the thing I'll leave you with as we transition over to questions and answering any that I haven't seen yet, what are we doing to prevent customers from saying yes? What are we doing to make it harder for people to put money into our register? One of the things that I was frustrated by this past week, we have two concepts that we run. One is Total El Dia and one is Tacolicious. We are converting our Total El Dia location to a Tacolicious location. So I emailed Easy Cater, hey, I'd love for you to just take the menu from here and the branding, if you could just copy it over, that would be great. And the automated response I got, and I get it's an automated response, it's not the person's fault, basically told me to complete a form for a brand new location and they need all this information they already have. I emailed back, like, I understand, but we've done this before. I know you guys can do it. I just need you to take this and make it look like this. I take this and make it look like this. What are we doing with our responses, with how we're talking to our customers? What are we doing that might be frustrating them? As I shared, we've done a lot of updates to our responses and our replies, just how things look, how clean the invoice can be, and our one of the things that's come up a lot recently, COIs, or certificate of insurances for deliveries. In our response to people who inquire about our brand, it is the first question we're asking them on the list of questions, mostly because we have had about a dozen, and I say that without exaggeration, customers over the past month that the morning of come to us and say, oh, to get into the building, you need a COI. We can't let you in without it. Well, we work with a broker, and those usually take 3 to 4 days to generate. And if you need a waiver of some sort, it can be extra time, and those cost us $200. So now we need to figure out with the customer, do they really want to pay that cost? I guess what I'm trying to say very simply, start a list of things that customers might be frustrated by, and then see if you can do something to fix it. Is it updating something somewhere? Is it communicating something somewhere else? We want to make it as easy for people to say yes to us as humanly possible. I had someone from Salesforce while I was out at an event 2 days ago who emailed, you did an event in October, we want you to do an event in July, do what you did last time, everything was great, you were easy to work with. We did that. We didn't need a COI from them last time, but it's part of our standard approach now. And right away she wrote back, oh my gosh, yeah, we do have a new process where you need a COI. Here's the information you need. I'm so happy we're dealing with that today and not in July when I have a team standing outside of a building for a full service event and they won't let us in. So do everything you can to make it as easy as possible for your customers to say yes, but also for your internal customers to deliver on the promises you're making. If it's a simple delivery or if it's a full service catering where you have dozens of notes and all these little things going on, are your pick list and your checklist clean? Are the BEOs that are going to your team in the right format so they can understand them? Are you doing training to where everybody knows how that box lunch should look? It seems simple, but we had a box lunch at Le Boulanger where I was, where if you didn't put things just right, something would stick up, and we had this little window that would rip because there was a sharp corner on something. So how you put things in the box, it actually matters. Who knew? Make sure you're making it easy for your internal customers, your employees, your teams to do what they need to do as well. And with that, we reach the portion of our day where we get to throw some questions up on the screen and see if there's anything I can clarify. So let's see here. All right, what's one insight from a competitor analyst that really surprised you or changed the way you think about catering? Ooh, that's a great question. Early in my career, I was quick to offer discounts to people. Almost too quick to offer discounts. I had a director who used to tell me, if I go to the gas station or if I go to the grocery store, I can't just be like, hey, this is too much, can you discount it? So why do people do that to us? And he's right. And it was looking at others and what they were doing and really realizing that a package for us isn't the same as a package somewhere else. And the week before, we actually discounted this package because someone said, oh, over here it's this, and we really want to work with you, but we need this price point. Well, we realized that we were offering way more in our package than they were over here. So as we looked at that in the future, yeah, we can match that price for you, but we're not going to include fruit. Oh, well, we really want fruit, so if you could just leave it, that's okay. We understand now. So showing them what they were really getting as opposed to what they thought they were getting, it helped a lot. And it was a simple thing, but it was very eye-opening that we need to be not as quick to react to things. Yes, we want people to say yes. Yes, we want to put the money in the register, but we don't want to discount our brand if we can help it. Putting aside education, local schools, nonprofits, we always do what we can to support them. But just discounting Salesforce just for the sake of doing it, not something we're always going to do. Let's see here. Okay, after gathering all these insights from competitor analysis and secret shopping, even your own team, how do you transfer that knowledge to team members? What's the best way to turn this lesson to real learning? Really good question. For me, it's taking that sales playbook, using that tab where we do the competitor analysis, and having that table filled out. And then I would put little insights under that. For instance, specialties was $1 more expensive per box lunch, but our delivery fee was higher. And I think I kind of shared the example earlier, but we knew at a certain point if someone's group was over a certain size and they were ordering box lunches, that we were going to end up being cheaper overall. And that was one of the line items underneath that we specifically called out: specialties, box lunches, delivery versus. And this was something that each of my team members had up in their cubicle. And this was when I was still in an office and not remote. I love being remote. So they truly could, if someone said, oh, well, I wanted to order from you, but we're also looking here and we realized their pricing, they could go right up to their chart. They could go across. We actually had menus from our competitors as well as part of this competitive analysis that we kept. So it was a whole package that we put together. We printed out very cleanly. And I would do weekly meetings with my team. So this is something that we would talk about: our code reds and code greens, the positive and negative guest experiences, talk about any menu changes coming up, any large events that were coming up. Our sales team would share what they were working on. And then we would have this open time where we could talk about things like that. And we'd rotate through them each week. So yes, doing the analysis is one thing, but making sure your team fully understands how to weaponize that information, so to speak, is very, very important. Let's see, I think, one more. Are there any legal or ethical lines you're mindful of? Yeah, this is a great question, because I have had groups that I work with that will put in requests for information, pretending like they're going to do an event. And I want you to be careful, because we know we don't want our time wasted. I have a team of 2 people, so sometimes those leads that don't go anywhere and the time and energy we pour into them is very frustrating. But I think it's okay to email and, I'm not looking to order. I would like more information about XYZ. Don't get to a point where you're making people do a ton of work or jump through a ton of hoops. Get that initial information, do what you can with it. I would say if you can find someone, friend, family, that's ordered from that concept, you can get information that way. I think if they want to share invoices with you, it's okay. Or if you're going to place that order, that's one thing. But I think we should be mindful of just people's time and respecting others in the industry. Because although we're competing, I truly feel, and I've always felt, I've given leads to competitors in the past, people that I've worked with, just because they were a better fit. I think we're all a better industry if we support each other. So be careful, gather information, but do so in a way where you're not leading people to believe you're going to place those orders. All right, one more. And I hope you guys can hear me okay. So I'm getting the little note that my internet connection may be a little wonky. How do you make sure your team is using? This is a great question. I actually do I have sat in on sales calls. When I was fully in an office, I would sit in our call center once a week and would give one of our team members a chance to step aside and complete projects or to go out on delivery, so they understood what that process was like. Being in an office is a little different than delivering box lunches to the 42nd floor of a building. And as I'm sitting there, I would let them hear how I was approaching it. or if someone asked for a discount, I would take over that call and let the rep hear how I would talk to them, showing them that I was using the resources they had. And then I would listen in. My office wasn't terribly far because it's okay to correct those behaviors. And to do so the same way I was saying earlier, you're not doing anything wrong, but I think you'll be better off if you say this. I don't like tearing down competition. I've had times where people have started to lean in on concepts that I used to work with, and I'll try to redirect that energy. Here's what they do. Here's what we can do differently. Don't disparage, because who knows? You may end up working for them at some point. So make sure the industry as a whole, look at us as one family. And, I know families can be dysfunctional, but make sure you're treating your family well. All right. And with that, thanks for joining us with this instance of Catered Caffeine. I hope you'll find the sales playbook useful. I am looking to try to get some other sales professionals on one of these with me in the future. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see you next month.